Hello my friends, how are you? I hope you are doing great. Welcome to another YouTube video. So my friends, in this video, as usual or typically, we're going to be reviewing some Anki flashcards. We will start by the first word, which is amputate. I think, my friends, I'm not really sure about its meaning, but I think when we cut a limb of a person due to an illness or something like that. And the word limb it can use to refer to either the legs or the hands. They are both called limbs. Now we'll try to craft some sentences to practice the word further. For example, I can say that after I get diagnosed of diabetes, he the doctors told him that his legs will be amputated. And my friends, I have really forget to start the conversation with my teacher because he is the one who provide me with feedback and correction because I'm a bit uncertain about the accuracy of this word, so I will start the conversation. Hello teacher, how are you? I hope you are doing great. I'm going to dive into reviewing some Samaki flashcard. We're gonna start with the first word, which is amputate, which means cutting the leg, cutting or removing, not cutting, but actually to removing. It sound more accurate here than cutting. Removing the legs or the hands of a person due to to an illness or something like that. For example, some sentences I can say that after he get diagnosed of diabetes, the 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 doctors had decided to cut his limb, so the illness doesn't spread all throughout his body. Another sentence using imputated, and I think it is a very bad word. I hope that I will never be using this word in conversations. Another sentence using the word amputated, for example, when back in the days when there is an inflammation on the body or something like that, they just amputate this part so it doesn't spread into the body. I think the sentence that I have just crafted, it is actually similar to the previous one. I think I have just repeated myself. So what do you think about my use of the word amputated? And after we can dive into a back and forth conversation to keep the conversation going.
You're right that amputate refers to surgically removing a limb. Removing is indeed more precise than cutting. Your usage in context is correct. Now, a couple pointers. When you said so the illness doesn't spread, it might be clearer to say something like, to prevent complications from spreading. Also, when you said the doctors had decided to cut his limb, you can simply say amputate the limb. As for the repetition in the second example, it's okay. Repetition is part of learning. Here are two synonyms, surgically remove and excise. One related idiomatic expression is take drastic measures, which can be used when talking about extreme actions for urgent problems. Let's keep the conversation flowing. What's
Yeah,
next?
let's keep the conversation going. Now we can jump into role play scenario to practice the word authentically and also practice speaking.
Absolutely. Let's set the stage. Imagine you're a medical professional explaining to a patient's family in simple and compassionate language what options are available after a serious infection. I'll play the family member asking questions, and you guide them carefully, encouraging them to understand the situation. Ready to take on your role?
Yeah, I'm ready to take on my role, but it is a very hard. It is a very hard things to do to share these dreadful and unpleasant things with this family. So I will empathize with them, and I will put myself in their shoes. I will try to, try to put them at ease, and I would tell them that this is the only measure that we have in order to stop the infection. To stop the infection from worsening is just to amputate the limb. So now you can play the role of a member of a family and let's keep the conversation going. And I'm sure that they will be shocked once they're gonna hear this dreadful news.
We're ready, Ismail. I'll be that family member now. Deep breath. Doctor, you mentioned an infection. Is there any other way to treat it? We're so worried about what might happen. Is there no alternative?
Yeah, regrettably, there is no alternative. We have been working hard to produce a medicine that it can cure this inflammation or infection, but we have really failed. So the only solution that we have is amputating the limb, and we must do that as soon as possible because every hour, every minute is counting, because we don't really know when the infection it might spread. And teacher, I've used here the word spread another time to mean, moving to other parts of the body, and they have already told me earlier that it is not used correctly.
Your use of spread was actually correct in this context. An infection does spread to other parts of the body, so no worries there. To offer a bit of variety, though, you could say when the infection could affect other areas or when the infection could advance. One idiom might be nipping it in the bud, taking decisive action before it worsens. Keep guiding empathetically. You're doing well.
Yeah, teacher, now you can keep the conversation rolling, as I have already told you, teacher, that once you correct my mistake, you can jump straight away to your character.
Of course, I'm back in character. I understand it's so hard to hear, but we appreciate your honesty. How soon would this need to happen? And is there anything we can do to prepare or help our loved one feel more at ease?
Yeah, I think all you must do now is just to prepare the patient mentally. He must be prepared mentally because this news they must really uh, impact him very badly, and he might become hopeless. And you must told him that this is the only solution to that will help him to live a healthy life, because if we don't amputate his leg, you know he will die soon.
Thank you, doctor. We'll do our best to reassure him. Could you also guide us on how long recovery might take after the procedure?
Yeah, recovery it won't actually take a long time. It depends, but I think at most it will take just 3 months, and like that he can go and put an artificial legs, and like that he can resume his life naturally. I don't know whether I've used here an artificial legs correctly. I can tell this member of the family to put him at ease that I know a lot of people had amputated their leg and they have been able to resume their life naturally, and they practice sport, and they have even become great athletes.
You conveyed it well. Instead of an artificial legs, we'd say a prosthetic leg. You can reassure them exactly as you did. Many people with a prosthetic limb lead active, fulfilling lives. Synonyms include prosthesis or artificial limb, and an idiom could be back on their feet. You're showing empathy. Keep it up.
Okay, my friends, now we have just finished reviewing this word, which is amputate, which is an unpleasant word. Yeah, amputating it means removing a limb due to an inflammation or an illness or something like that. So now we'll go through the Yankee flashcard. Here is an image that depicts or pictures the word amputate. So there is some surgeons, they are preparing the tools for amputating a leg, and it is a sophisticated place. There is a lot of machines and other things, and I think now the surgeons they are cleaning thoroughly the instruments with alcohol to make sure that they are clean and ready for the amputation. That's it, my friend. I will stop the video while reading the meaning and the sentences, and I'll get back to you. Okay, my friends, now let's move into another word, which is sale. Sale, it's used to refer to bread that is no longer fresh, or fruits that they have lost their freshness. Some sentences I can say that if we keep the bread for a long time without a refrigerator, it will likely become stale. Another sentence using the word stale is that we should not waste stale bread, but rather we can provide it to animals and some other things instead of just throwing it recklessly. Okay, my friend, I apologize because I haven't started the conversation. Hello teacher, how are you? I hope you are doing great. I'm going to share with you the meaning and some sentences of the word sell, and then you can provide me with some feedback of my use of this word. Sell, it can be used to a bread that is not that refer to a bread that is no longer fresh, so it has become stale. It is no longer fluffy. I don't know whether I've used here the word fluffy to refer to a fresh bread. Another sentence using the word sell, for example, we can say that sell bread, it should not be thrown away or it should not be dumped, but actually we must provide it to animals and things like that, to feed animals, yeah, instead of throwing it. So what do you think about my use of the word sell in that context? And is there some nuances of using this word?
Your use of stale is spot on. It perfectly describes bread that's no longer fresh, and fluffy is a good word for fresh bread with a light texture. Now, as for your second sentence, you can say stale bread shouldn't be thrown away or discarded instead of dumped. The nuance is that stale doesn't mean unsafe, it's more about quality, like something past its ideal freshness. You've captured that. Keep building on it.
Yeah, now teacher, let's jump into a role play scenario to practice both speaking and waving in the word sell naturally.
Let's dive right in. Imagine we're neighbors chatting after a community event. I'll mention a leftover batch of bread rolls, and you find a way to naturally weave stale into the conversation. I'll start. Hey, I noticed we had some leftover bread from yesterday. I'm not sure what we should do with it now.
Yeah, yeah, actually, you should have purchased just the bread that you're gonna eat, so you will not end up wasting this stale bread, because some countries are facing drought and famine. They really need that bread, and it will be really awkward and silly and selfish to just waste this bread by dumping it. So I think now it would be just better to try to provide it to animals who can feed from it. And the next time you must be careful about the number of the bread that you purchase. You need to get just the bread that you are sure it will be eaten. And what do you think, teacher, about my use of the word be eaten?
Your use of be eaten is correct, but to sound a bit smoother, you could say just the bread you're sure will be eaten. It flows more naturally. Other than that, you used stale perfectly, and the whole point about avoiding waste came across very well. Nicely done.
Thank you very much, teacher. Now we can jump into a roleplay scenario. Yes, we have already practiced the roleplay scenario. Teacher, now I would like from you to keep the conversation going, because I have already told you that once you correct my mistake and provide me with feedback, you can jump straight away to your character and nudge me to practice speaking.
You're absolutely right. Let's keep the flow. So, as your neighbor, I'd nod and say, that makes a lot of sense. Actually, I have a friend who runs a farm. Maybe we could give them the bread so the animals can enjoy it. What do you think? Would you
Yeah,
want to?
this is right idea. I think that these animals, they would really appreciate this bread, and like that you will not waste it. Yeah, we can go now and provide this bread to these animals.
That sounds great. I'm glad we can put it to good use. While we walk over, tell me, have you ever tried baking your own bread? Or do you have a favorite type of bread you enjoy when it's fresh?
Yeah, I really enjoy a fluffy bread which is warm. I have tried one time to cook my own bread, but I haven't. While preparing the dough, the thing that we add into the bread so it can become fluffy. I don't know what we call it. It add gases and things like that. I didn't add much of it, so the bread, it wasn't really skillfully prepared because it was brittle and not crunchy or fluffy. And I've shared that with my mother and told me the reason behind this very bad bread is that I haven't added the salt. So not the salt, but this product or substance that make our bread fluffy. And I have made some research about whether this thing is a healthy choice, and yes, I have found it is healthy because it is good for digestion, and it has some other benefits.
It sounds like you're talking about yeast. That's what helps the bread rise and become fluffy. It's great you researched it. Yeast can indeed help with digestion. Now, since you've tried baking, next time you'll know exactly what to add. Speaking of which, when's your next attempt at bread making going to be?
I think my next attempt of preparing bread is gonna be once Ramadan finishes. Then I will try to prepare bread, and I will prepare bread and then put it in the refrigerator, and then I will save time. Yeah, and I will make sure that I will add a sufficient amount of this substance that you told me. I've really forget about its name. Yeast. Yeah, I've recalled it now. The yeast.
That sounds like a solid plan. After Ramadan, you'll be fully prepared to bake that perfect loaf. Just remember to give the dough enough time to rise with the yeast, and I'm sure you'll have fluffy bread. I can't wait to hear how your next baking adventure turns out. Keep me posted.
So my friends, now we have just finished reviewing the word cell. Here it is. We have here an image of cell bread that have been left for days, and the lessons that you might extract from this conversation is that, my friends, we should really not uh, dump or throw this stale bread, because it can be used more ecologically. I'm not sure about my use of the word ecologically, but giving it into farmers, because they provide it into animals and things like that. That's it, my friend. We must stop wasting food. Now I will read these sentences and examples, and then we'll switch the gears into another word. Okay, my friends, now let's jump into another word, which is up to snuff. Okay, now teacher, let's jump into another word, which is to snuff. Up to snuff, it means something that has a high standards. And also it can be used negatively. For example, I can say that the laptop that I'm using, it is up to snuff, because I have been using this laptop for almost 5 years and it's still working, and it's still in a good conditions. I don't know whether I've used here the word good conditions to mean it is not damaged, everything is working smoothly from the battery to the keyboard, everything. Another sentence using up to snuff, for example, I can say that my phone camera, it is not up to snuff, because whenever I try to zoom for an object, the image it gets blurry and it lost its quality, so it is not up to snuff. What do you think about? I'm sure that the sentences that I've provided you, they are correct, and I'm very proud of that. I haven't made any grammatical mistake, because the majority, as we progress and level up our level in English, we start recognizing mistakes that we commit. But now I feel and I'm sure that I haven't made none.
You should definitely be proud. Both sentences were spot on. Good condition works perfectly to mean everything's functioning well. And you used up to snuff correctly in both the positive and negative contexts. That's exactly the nuance. Recognizing your own progress is a huge milestone, so keep embracing that confidence. If you ever have more vocabulary to test or want to refine anything else, I'm here.
Yeah, now teacher, let's jump into a role play scenario to practice the word up to snuff further, because it is an interesting word that I'm going to use whenever I would like to refer to something that has a low standard or something that doesn't has a good quality.
Let's do it. Imagine you're helping a friend decide on a place to stay for a vacation. I'll play the friend who's picked a hotel, and you can use up to snuff naturally while giving your advice. Ready?
Yeah, I'm ready, teacher. You can start first.
All right. So I found this budget hotel online. It looks pretty cheap, but I didn't really check the reviews. Do you think it'll be fine for our trip?
Yeah, I think that before you book a room in an hotel, you must check the reviews because that will provide you with a glimpse of the hotel. I don't know whether I've used here a glimpse correctly, but just to have an overview of whether the hotel is up to snuff or not. Because if you don't read the reviews thoroughly, you will once you get there, you will realize that the service it is not up to snuff, and the room it might be not great in terms of the bed not comfortable, the food is not tasteless. Yeah, for that reason you are compelled to read the reviews.
You used a glimpse just right. It means a quick look or overview, so that fits perfectly. And you nailed the roleplay. You gave a great warning. If something's not up to snuff, we could end up with bad service or discomfort. You've integrated the phrase naturally. Keep building on that confidence.
Yeah, teacher, let's keep this role play scenario rolling.
Absolutely. Since we've covered the hotel, let's keep planning. Now let's imagine we're picking a restaurant for dinner. I'll suggest one that I heard about, but didn't research well. You'll guide me again? What's your next move?
Yeah, before getting to a restaurant, you need to check it in Google Maps. Then you're gonna find you will be bombarded with reviews about this restaurant, and like that, you will not end up wasting your money, and you will check whether it is up to snuff. Or because once you get there, you will be shocked. Teacher would like for me to provide me with a synonym for the word shock to mean stunted in a bad way. Uh, because the food there it might be tasteless, not skillfully seasoned, and also it might be even the food you might find it stale.
A great synonym for shocked in a bad way could be appalled. It carries that sense of unpleasant surprise. You could say you might be appalled if the food isn't up to snuff. Your advice is spot on. Checking reviews saves us from any unpleasant surprises. Now, if you were appalled by a restaurant, what would you do next time?
Okay, my friends, we have reached the end of our English session. We have reviewed three words, and my friends, you might think or underestimate this number of words that I have reviewed today, but what I have understood from the book Atomic Habit that along down the line when these words will combine with each others that really led to astonishing results. So we should not underestimate or deny the small progress that we make every day. What matters is just to stick to it and commit. Even committing to just reading one word will show tangible results down the line or in the future. That's it, my friend. Thank you very much for your listening, and see you in another video.